Hey everybody, I'm Ray.
And I'm Paul.
We are the Alconauts.
Excelsior!
Wow. Anyways, this week we are joined by James Ponce and Chris Dabrowski, the owners, presidents, gurus of Niagara Falls Comic Con. Hey guys, welcome.
Welcome aboard, guys.
Thanks for having us. Good to see you.
Well, this is definitely a special treat. You guys have created an iconic event that has grown over the last 10 years. And before we get into that, maybe you guys can introduce yourselves to our audience and let them know about who you guys are and a little bit about your endeavors.
First, go ahead.
Age before beauty.
Wow, the ball busting has begun. I'm Chris Dabrowski, as Ray and Paul mentioned, president of Niagara Falls Comic Con, co-owner here with my business partner, really good buddy, and that's why he's busting my chops already. We're not even 30 seconds into the episode, but yeah, that's enough about me. I'll pass it over to James.
James Ponce here, like Chris said, business partners, friends. We pretty much talk every day, probably more than we talk to our spouses some days, between work, ball bust, and wrestling, sports, and a little bit of everything. Yeah, a little bit of everything there. We're back and forth every day.
So before we get into this, let's explain the process to our audience so that you guys are on the same page and you guys are on the same page out there. So basically the way this works is we're going to put together a beer cocktail for you guys. We're going to put this together, we're going to have an initial taste of this, and find out if we have an initial opinion on this. We're going to learn a little bit more about Chris and James, and Niagara Falls Comic Con, Hamilton Comic Con, and every Comic Con that they create. We're going to get our glass to a little bit below the bend, have a couple more sips, and see if our opinions are still the same. Have a few more conversations with these gentlemen, and before we get to the bottom of our glass, we're going to chug this right back. So regardless if it's good or bad, we're going to throw this right down the back of our throats and let you know what this drink is all about. And to introduce this drink, Ray, give us the tail of the tape.
All right, so this week we are doing Thor's cocktail. What we're doing is we are mixing this beautiful Martini and Rossi red vermouth, which is a sweet vermouth, at about 15% alcohol, 2/5 to 3/5 with our favorite lager. It was my choice this week. This is my lager to go to. It's a 3-speed lager from Amsterdam Brewing. It's about 4.2%. So I think what we're looking at is about a 6 to 7% ABV on this drink once it's mixed. So kind of looking forward to this one. Thor's cocktail, kind of fitting for our esteemed guests here, in the comic world. So
let's put this drink together and let's find out what Thor's. I don't think Thor would call it a cocktail. I'm gonna say it's Thor's beer, if anything.
Thor's beer.
Let's throw this together. Let's see what we got here. So we're doing 2/5 of this vermouth. I'm gonna guesstimate here.
Us two.
I'm gonna say that's 2/5. I could be entirely wrong.
That looks like a beer Thor would drink.
We're gonna get it.
Or it looks like Mama Fratelli's water in the Goonies house. One of the two.
And here we go.
It's the water at the side of the pirate ship.
It looks kind of like an amber ale now that we got this thing put together.
It does, yeah.
Actually,
It's Thor's mead.
that looks good. I like the look of that.
It does. It looks good. It smells a little
Alright.
sweet.
Like
Yeah.
It's got a bit of spiciness to it. I'm kind of intrigued. Well, you know what? I'm thirsty, so yeah, let's take a sip and find out what this is about.
Cheers, guys. Cheers, all.
Cheers. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys. Wow, that
I
is
like
sweet.
that. I like that.
And that is very good right off the hop.
Yeah, it is.
What the? That is not what I expected.
Neither.
Me
No, I
neither.
never would have thought that.
Oh.
It's tasty.
Yeah, it is.
I'm gonna tell you right off the bat, I was not looking forward to this. As soon as we said vermouth,
Tell us how you really feel.
I'm thinking martini, right? And you know what? I'm not a big fan of most martinis, but you know what? I've got some sweet flavors coming out of this. I got some spiciness coming off of this. The vermouth really kills the carbonation on this, so it's really smooth. It actually is more a cocktail than a beer or a mead. It's just the carbonation's all gone. I'm loving this thing. This is actually pretty darn good for you know, a beer cocktail. Gentlemen,
You know what? It's tasty. Yeah.
It tastes to me like a seasonal beverage, right?
It does,
It's
yeah.
got- and Paul, you mentioned it, that spice, which is nice, and the aftertaste is nice as well. It's not a long aftertaste, but it's pleasant. It's a very pleasant drink. I'm surprised. I'm shocked that you can mix red vermouth and beer
Yeah.
and concoct such a delightful drink. So it's
awesome.
my first, but won't be my last.
Yeah, I like it. It's good. I like red vermouth. I drink Manhattan, so I'm used to the sweetness. And this is, I was a little worried about how it would go with beer, but it's got a nice flavor.
I like it.
What are your thoughts, Ray?
I will say this is quite tasty. I don't. It almost tastes like a pop, like a soda beverage of some sort. I can't pin down the flavor. There's something in there. Yeah, I don't know what it is. It's got to be that sweetness from the vermouth. You guys started this thing back in 2010, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Was it 2010?
11.
2011. So basically the way it worked was 2011 we had our first event at Dave & Buster's, which used to be on Clifton Hill, which is not on Clifton Hill any longer. But that was the first event, and I believe it was within 6 months.
It was July 9th.
July
It was
9th.
Friday, yeah.
And then so we basically held the next event 2012 at the Scotiabank Convention Center. So we immediately moved the event. It did so well. It was free for people to attend, and we were taken back with everybody that came out and the fandom that we didn't even realize was here locally. So we're blessed to live in a city that has a gorgeous building like the Scotiabank Convention Center. Not every city has a great big convention center. So we were able to move the event over, and thankfully they had enough space to accommodate the thousands of people that started coming after year one.
Well, yeah, because that's pretty amazing. I mean, to go from a restaurant, basically, it was a Dave & Buster's. I think it was a 2-floor restaurant, so probably about 5,000-6,000 square feet of space once you take tables and everything into account, and then to move up to 27,000 square feet of exhibition space from year one to year two is incredible.
It was scary.
Oh,
It was scary.
I bet it was. It's got to be crazy for you guys. But you guys had a vision. Were you friends before? Was it a business friendship, or like how do you get started on something like that?
I'll let James explain that. So it was myself and another business partner that initially started Comic Con. James was kind of keeping his foot in the door, very smart. I don't want to speak for him, but he can explain his involvement a little more. But it ended up being that the original partner that I started with didn't really work out, and James was right there picking up the slack. I don't want to call it slack and call anybody out, but James was a perfect partner for Niagara Falls Comic Con. So I couldn't have been luckier to have found. I think he found me. I think he was kind of weaseling in there, but either way, James can kind of explain his background with Comic Con and how he got involved.
Yeah, I always kind of say like I kind of stumbled into it. I mean, I was friends with Chris's former business partner, and when they were doing Comic Con, I had said, I think that's huge for Niagara Falls. It's great. I have been to Fan Expo and other Comic Cons that were out there in Toronto and other cities, and thought, how come Niagara doesn't have one? So when the opportunity was there, I offered to help. I volunteered. I helped out. I did whatever the two of them needed.
Like I said, he weaseled his way in.
A little bit of hard work. There was a little bit
Totally
of
kidding.
There was a little bit of running around and hard work there, a little bit. But no, and the opportunity came for me to come on board, and it worked out. And greatest decision I ever did was try to put my head down and be like, I want to do this. And at first I approached you guys because I wanted to bring Bret Hart in to the 2012 edition, just kind of independently as kind of like my own celebrity promoter. And then the opportunity came on board to actually join Comic Con in a bigger capacity after that. So I was kind of lost in a job I didn't like and trying to build something else. And I was running wrestling shows with some other friends and things like that. And it just kind of spitballed and got bigger and bigger for me, which worked out. And Chris is a wealth of knowledge. I mean, everything I've learned as far as event business and management goes has been pretty much with him, marketing, public relations, you name it. I went in there blind, just trying to learn and absorb as much knowledge as I could.
quick two-part question, which is, business aside, previous to putting this Comic-Con together, were you guys geeks or nerds in terms of loving the comic book industry, loving the entertainment industry, loving the con industry? And now, are you still the same? Do you still have that passion?
Good question. So I remember in my early 20s, which is like 5 years ago, I remember driving through the city of Niagara Falls, and I was probably 21, and driving down Dorchester Road, driving past the Optimist Hall, which is no longer there. They tore it down and developed a residential property. But I remember looking at that hall and saying one day, because I collected autographs. I used to sit down at my parents' coffee table. I would write probably 50 letters a day to random celebrities across LA. I would find their home addresses, or I would send it to production offices. And I was an autograph collector. I was a geek, but I was strictly an autograph collector. And I always said in my early 20s that one day I want to host a bunch of these celebrities that I write to and just have an autograph signing. So I was a geek. I'm still a geek. I'm an 80s guy, 90s guy, and that's why James and I here have a great partnership, because all the new stuff like the Avengers and the DC and the Marvel, I just don't get it. I was never a fan. The only comic book I ever read was Archie. That was basically the only comic book I ever read. So if there's an 80s or a 90s question related to movies or pop culture, I'm your guy. Anything else, including wrestling, anything else, James is the guy. So yes, I'm a geek. I was always a geek. I was an autograph collector. I still am. It's just a little different now. Instead of having one autograph photo of Henry Winkler, we have 500, which is pretty cool.
Wow.
And it's so fun. It's so fun at the Comic-Con events. Whenever I see somebody walk up to a celebrity and they're shaking and they're lost for words and they're sweating, they don't know what to say, and it's the most awkward thing you could ever imagine. But you have a celebrity like Henry Winkler who can, tone it down and bring themselves to the fans' level, and so they're comfortable. But it's just so cool to see these people and the consumers and the fans that come to the show that meet these celebrities and just have that moment. I get it. And it puts a smile on my face. But anyway, still a geek, 80s, 90s, love wrestling. That's me.
What about yourself, James?
Yeah, pretty much everything Chris said as far as interest. I mean, for me, I've always been a fiction buff as far as and it's been everything though. It was, when I was a kid, it was cartoons, it was movies, it was comic books. I always had an obsession with every aspect of it, of the entertainment industry. When I was 8 or 9, and you had, I remember the HBO used to be called First Choice in Canada, and they had the little box. My parents hooked up the VCR, and I would record the movies I wanted to watch over and over, Mission Impossible and things like that, and Naked Gun. But I was the guy that the blank tape, I would write the movie, the year, the rating, director, and the 2 stars that were listed on the posters. And I was very,
Wow.
I was always very into that kind of side of the industry, as far as films and TV shows and comic books. It's always been something I always absolutely loved, and I still do to this day. When the theater was open, my wife and I would go to the movies probably once a week or every other week if we missed a week. It's something about that whole aspect of taking out of the everyday realities that I just absolutely loved. And then, like Chris said, eventually to work with people that you grew up watching on TV or in a newest movie, or this guy, that guy. I mean, it's cool. I've met or worked with pretty much everybody I've ever wanted to in my life. There's no one now, everybody on my bucket list is pretty much gone. I've hit them all.
Wow.
Which is a really cool thing to know. There's 1 or 2 that I'd love to meet that never had a chance. But I mean, for the most part, if you say bucket list top 3, I've hit them all. So it's a really cool job to have. And Chris has said it before. We've kind of said it to people too. It's work, but it's not. We plan all year round for this 3 days that go by just in a blink of an eye. But at the same time, it doesn't feel like work when we're doing it someday. That's not to say there's not stress and
there's stress.
Yeah, we're freaking out, or we're sometimes we're bickering at each other, being like, "What do you want? Did you do this?" And we're snapping at each other. But at the end of the day, man, you know what? I remember it was 2014 when it first hit me. I was running around frantically on the Sunday when Shatner was there, and Chris stopped me, and the line was huge, and I was going bananas. He looks at me, he goes, "Stop." He goes, get a volunteer to do this. He goes, stop for a minute, take a breath. He goes, look at this. He goes, William Shatner is at our show. William Shatner is working with us today. And I'm like, you know what?
He was working for us. Not with us. No.
Everything right there, just boom. That put everything in perspective for me. I'm just, we're very blessed to have such a cool gig that we can enjoy. People can enjoy. We can make a living. We're very lucky.
Yep.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm past the band.
Mm-hmm.
So let's have a
I don't know what the bend is, but I don't got much left.
Chris refilled.
let's have a couple sips. Let's have a couple sips, and
can.
let's see if our opinions have changed in regards to this drink. All right.
Chris has got to put more. Cheers, but Chris has to put more vermouth in there. He topped up with the beer, but he didn't add the vermouth.
Well, he's got to know where to put the vermouth.
I thought this was an audio interview. You guys are watching.
I'm watching, absolutely.
We got our eyes on you, Chris.
Fair is fair, man.
All right. Well, cheers, guys.
Cheers, guys.
Everybody.
Cheers. Put more vermouth in for the bend, apparently.
I'm still enjoying it. The taste really, I think the I'm not sure what flavor I'm looking for. I'm tasting something. I can't describe what it is. It's toned down a little bit now that my palate's kind of gotten used to that taste from the beginning, but still enjoyable. I can't pinpoint what it is though on the tip of my tongue. Verbally, it's the vermouth, but it's an amazing mix with the beer. Ray said it earlier. I'm shocked. I really am shocked.
I am too.
At how good it is.
That's awesome. What do you think, James?
I love it. I'm trying to figure out what's in vermouth. I'm looking at it, trying to figure out what that. So I've never had vermouth change a drink. Like I drink Manhattans, which obviously it's vermouth, and I usually use bourbon, so obviously it sweetens up the whiskey. But you can still taste the whiskey when you have a Manhattan. But this, it takes the carbonation away from the beer. It gives it a nice sweet taste. I don't know. I mean, I know there's bitters in vermouth, and I know it's usually some kind of organic fruit, but I don't know if it's cherry, I don't know if it's honey, I have no clue, but it's fantastic.
It's funny you say cherry, James, because I was just thinking there's like a Dr. Pepper cream soda kind of root beer sort of.
And yes.
It was just that last sip, I was like, yes, that's what it is. Like cherry cola sort of.
Cherry Coke, yep.
I haven't had a Dr. Pepper in about a year, but I feel like I'm having one now. Thank you for explaining what that taste was that I couldn't figure out. Now it's even more enjoyable. It's good.
What are your thoughts, Ray? Like,
I'm really enjoying this, Paul. It's weird, but I could totally see keeping a bottle of this stuff. I wish I'd bought the bigger one, because I dropped you guys off that one, and Paul and I split this one, and I could see adding a little bit of. I could see adding a little of this to my beer as a regular thing. Like in the summer, I like to do lemonade and beer. Out on the golf course, it's really refreshing. But I could see doing a shot of this into my beer every time. It's really good.
Or a shot of beer into a cup of this.
Yeah, no, I think that'd be a little too much, but.
What I'm thinking
it's
is.
not overpowering though. Yeah, the 2 to 5 is good.
What I'm thinking is, if I'm gonna have a party, I'm thinking big punch bowl, and this drink in it. Maybe a little bit of fruit. Maybe throw some orange or citrus in there. But this is a punch bowl fruit. This is the drink that you spike at the high school prom to totally make your chances better at the end of the night. And I'm not encouraging that kind of stuff, but that's it's a 50s reference. You look it up.
This is why I'm on the show too. It's to keep Paul in line, because that was so offside.
You're the Ron McLean of the Alconauts.
Exactly. He's totally Don Cherry.
I'm the Biff of proms at Back to the Future.
Biff.
Sorry, I am so sorry.
That's definitely not
Nonetheless.
Wow. You mentioned earlier that you guys have doing the online auctions, selling off memorabilia. You do the 8x10 auction now and again. So is that kind of how you guys have pivoted to keep your fans engaged? And
yeah, the auctions, it was an idea that we came up with that we thought we'd do it as a one-off, see what the response was like. and it kind of blew up right off the bat. I think a lot of people, our show can't run, but at the same time, a lot of people can't, go to the same job that they've had, or they're looking for different ways to spend some money that they might have laying around because they can't travel, whatever the case may be. But the response was phenomenal right off the hop. We average about 150 people per auction, which doesn't sound like a lot, but there are 150 people that are loyal, that love the product, that follow the auctions on a weekly and a monthly basis. So we have a really good, it's a small, loyal customer base. And once Comic-Cons come back, as we all know, we'll get through the pandemic that we're currently in sooner rather than later, hopefully. But either way, it's something that I think we'll continue on, even with the events that we host. Because a lot of the people that come to the auctions, believe it or not, they don't maybe come to Comic-Con on a yearly basis.
There's a few that actually messaged the page and said, like after we announced our postponement this year, they said, I've never been and I was looking forward to going this year.
So I think, it's a way that we pivoted. We never thought we'd be into 2021, moving the event to 2022. So it's something that we continue to do. And I think we're on, you guys are on episode 26 or something like that. It doesn't matter. But we're on this 25, sorry. We're on the same amount of auctions. And we just launched, I'll let James chime in. He could talk a little bit about it. But this past Monday, we launched private signings with celebrities. So now people can actually purchase autographs, but they can get them personalized. They can send us their own items, yada, yada, yada. But if you want to touch on that, go ahead.
Yeah, we've announced private signings with Henry Winkler, who's obviously legendary as the Fonz in Happy Days. We've got Ernie Hudson from Ghostbusters, Larry Thomas, who is, of course, the Soup Nazi in Seinfeld. We've got W Legend Tatanka and Tyler Mane, who is Michael Myers in Rob Zombie's Halloween. So it's something to offer the fans again, with no Comic-Cons. We've seen other companies try virtual events, which is, kind of like a glorified Q&A. It just doesn't really seem to get the fans as involved. So that's why, like Chris said, we have the auctions where, we have fans on there that come every week and they have nicknames for Chris and I.
Yeah,
there's ones that joke with us and kind of tease us about things, or
I don't know if they're joking or not. I think there's some seriousness to it, but we roll with it.
But
they pay their invoices, so we're like, whatever. Call us whatever you want.
Hey, you know what? Like you guys said though, like Chris said, it gives us something to pivot to kind of give people an experience though, right? Because that's what people need right now. There's not a lot of experiences you can do that are as interactive as kind of us going back and forth on camera and bouncing things back and forth. So.
And it's fun. And just to touch on the virtual cons, we live in Niagara Falls. It's one of the most world-famous cities in the world. So when people come for Comic-Con, 9 times out of 10 are here for the weekend. So it's not just about the con experience, it's about the whole city experience, right? So doing a virtual con, not to downplay it, because there are consumer shows that are doing it, but it doesn't do the celebrities justice. It doesn't do the fans justice. It's not a personal experience. So that's why with the private signings, we get a specific amount of autographs from the celebrity. We send them everything that we receive from people. We send it to the celebrity. They can personalize it. They can inscribe it. If you want to get your, a family member who's a fan of the Fonz, something for their birthday upcoming in a couple of months, that's what we're trying to offer. So it's kind of doing the virtual con, but a little more intimate, a little more of a personalized experience. So that's what we'll stick with. And, they're new avenues of business that we never thought of, but we'll continue them on even once consumer shows come back. So.
Who would you say has had the biggest pop as soon as they walk through those doors and get ready to sign autographs and do photo ops? Who is the crowd favorite that is the most memorable to you guys?
I think for us, and I think 2019, I think Undertaker was the biggest line we've had for any guest ever. Which if you told me the Undertaker would draw X amount of people more than William Shatner to an autograph or photo op line, I know Undertaker doesn't do these very often, but there were people that came from everywhere to meet him. We've never had so many Facebook inquiries and email inquiries asking, how do I meet him? How do I wait in line? What about this? What if I missed this part? Can I get him? Can I meet him after? Can I do this? Is he doing a Q&A? The amount of feedback and positivity and experience people got with the Undertaker was it absolutely blew my mind. I don't want to speak for Chris, but that one was huge. And I think and for me personally too, I think Bruce Campbell, because we had been trying to get Bruce Campbell since the very first Comic Con. He was kind of our white whale, and when we were able to get him, A lot of people were very happy, and his line, he actually signed the most autographs any guest has ever signed at our show, was Bruce Campbell from Evil Dead and Army of Darkness. So,
that's crazy.
And Undertaker was the most photo ops ever too. So it was crazy that in 2019 we kind of hit the two guys that, you know, no one saw coming to our show, that we were able to really do it up for the fans, which was just phenomenal.
Just being in the industry, meeting all these celebrities and entertainers, you must have access to like the holy grail of collectibles. What is your most prized possession in terms of collectible?
Oh,
These are mine. These are stage worn shoes worn by Marky Ramone, the drummer from the Ramones.
wow.
Oh, okay.
And,
Wow.
He was in The Simpsons, so he must be somebody. But yeah, that legendary Ramone. So a pair of shoes that he wore
The entire tour.
the entire tour. He was explaining to me why there was wear on a specific area of the sole on the shoe. So those are
That's his kick.
those are
That's
mine.
from the kick drum, isn't it?
That's where it was came
Yeah,
from.
Yeah.
So from his kick drum, he was explaining the story, and he signed both. So they're kind of cool. And it's not something you buy in a store. I'm a fan of something that's, you know, one of one, and I think these are the only pair of Marky Ramone shoes that exist, and I own them. So they're kind of cool. My wife can't understand why I have a smelly pair of gym shoes in my man cave, but
Used gym shoes.
I put a little Sensi and Febreze sometimes in them, like once every couple of months, and it seems to take care of it. And if Marky's watching, I don't know if he is, maybe he isn't, but Marky, your feet don't smell.
I just have thoughts of Chris just grabbing those shoes on a really bad night saying, I just needed that.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, right?
He's like,
Exactly.
when life gets him down, it reminds him how great things are.
I think those are my favorite. I have a Revenge of the Nerds poster as we bring in cast members from the Revenge of the Nerds franchise. I keep on adding to that, so that's another cool piece. And I have an 8x10 booklet, maybe that thick, of 8x10s that I've collected, you know, before Comic Con started. That again, I was writing all those letters to celebrities, and I've collected hundreds of those. So those are my keepsakes. They're worth something to me. I'm not sure what they're worth on the market, but to me, they're invaluable.
What about yourself, James?
I've got some key pieces that will never part with. I'm a huge, like I said, movie and TV fan and stuff. So I've got a list of like top movies of all time kind of thing, where I've got items signed from those. I have a Godfather 2 gray hat, the fedora signed by Al Pacino. I've got an Indiana Jones hat signed by Harrison Ford. I've got a Rocky collection of gloves that I've built over the years. I've got a glove signed by Stallone, a glove signed by Carl Weathers as Apollo Creed. I've got one signed by Mr. T, which is really hard to get because he does not do public appearances. And I've got one signed by Dolph Lundgren, so I've kind of got like the main 4 Rocky kind of villains and
That is
cast.
awesome.
Yeah, it's cool.
I've got a Gladiator helmet signed by Russell Crowe. It's a replica of the one he wears in the movie with the spikes on and everything when he's in the arena. I've got a DeLorean signed by like 8 or 9 cast members now, including Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd.
Well, I'll tell you guys, I think I'm ready for the chug. I've been just sucking this back. I finished my, what was left
You better
of
take
my,
a sip or two there, Chris. You got a lot there. Whoa.
Get the sips in there.
Hey, now he's ahead of me. Look at this, eh? Now he's ahead.
Okay, I'm ready. I'm full here, boys.
We got this amount of beer left in our glasses. I'm going to count down from 3 to 1. Then I'll say go. At that point, we are going to chug this back. Then we're going to get our glass back to the table. First glass to the table wins. Last glass, they get to do a wonderful shot of this. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's going to be so wonderful as just a shot, but that's the consequence.
That is the consequence.
So, 3,
All right.
2, 1, go.
Bam! Done!
Holy crap, James, that was amazing.
That was pretty amazing. You know what? It was almost like he had to wait in the line if he didn't win.
That was incredible.
I think I
You know
know
what's
Chris. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, we'll have to go to the
Hey,
tape
is
on
there an
that.
instant replay on this
Yeah,
one?
we'll have to go to the tape on that. I'm not sure how to do this, so.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what? I'll tell you what.
Yeah,
Just to be
well-
fair, Chris, you do a shot. I'll do a shot. You won't be alone.
James, he'll do a shot.
You're not
too.
driving, right? So.
I appreciate that. No.
Oh boy.
James, should we each do one too? In support?
I think you guys should.
All right, why not? Friends don't let friends do shots alone.
Exactly.
There's something else in the vermouth though that I can't pinpoint. It's stronger than
Right.
when it's mixed.
I was gonna go beer
Oh,
here, but
wow.
that's cheating.
All right, guys.
Okay, let's do a shot real quick and let's get our final
Cheers.
opinions.
Oh,
Cheers,
cheers.
gentlemen. Cheers, everybody.
Ah.
Not bad.
Okay, that was not so bad.
Not bad.
I think
Very
no,
small.
and I think it would have been worse if we didn't have the cocktail before that.
Yeah, the beer. Yeah.
I think so. Yeah,
I
for
agree.
sure.
Not bad. Not bad.
For sure.
It's nice and chilled too, actually. You kept that in the fridge.
I don't mind losing on that one.
All
All
right.
right, Chris and James, what are your
And
final
thanks for
opinions
enjoying.
on this drink?
Yeah, final opinions on the drink.
I think, Paul, you hit the nail on the head. Big backyard barbecue. It's a drink that would suit male and females alike. I'm not sure how many you could have. It's maybe 2 or 3, and then you're basically looking at a big headache the next day. But I enjoyed it. I really did, and I wouldn't blow smoke if I didn't. I tell you guys, and I think I'll have it again.
Right on.
We still have half a bottle here, so yeah. As the weather gets warmer, it's not something I think I would have in the winter or indoors, but definitely if I'm flipping some burgers on the barbecue, I'll pour myself. What's it called again?
Thor's beer.
Thor's
Standard?
Yeah, Thor's beer.
Yeah.
Thor's beer.
Thor's beer.
Thor's beer. Sorry, Thor's beer.
Thor's beer is added to my list of cocktails for summer of 2021.
Nice.
Yeah, I
Nice.
agree
James,
with
what are your
Chris.
thoughts?
Sorry, I agree with Chris. Yeah, it's surprisingly tasty. I'm not a big beer drinker, so kind of cutting it with a vermouth, giving some sweetness and taking away the carbonation, allowed me to win that chugging contest hands down. If it had just been mostly beer, I would have been out. I'd still be drinking it. So
And just so you guys know, when you have us back on, if you ever have us back on, episode 198, James will still talk about the time he won this.
Absolutely.
back in the day,
He's not,
back in
he's
the
not
day,
gonna let it go.
Back
I
in the
have to
day.
hear about this for the next 2 weeks.
That's it. Sorry.
It'll be on the bottom of his email signature that the winner of the Alconauts episode 25 chugging contest. Is there a trophy?
Yeah.
Maybe, Paul. We'll look into it.
We're
We'll look
gonna
into
have
There's
to
a race
start
on
having
like that.
trophies for this.
Yeah, that's
Right.
funny because
Right.
I rarely lose the chug. It turns out it's usually mixed drinks with ice in them. That's my kryptonite. So the fact that you got that down faster than I did is pretty darn impressive. So
I think
Well,
I
Ray-
think a drink. I think liquor with ice is my vaccine.
Ray, what's your final opinion on this drink?
yeah, I really enjoyed that. It's refreshing. It's not hard to drink. It's like you guys all said, it kills the carbonation on the beverage, so it makes it really smooth. It goes down quick and easy. I really like that. We typically score things on a scale of 5. I'm going to give that a 4.5 because I think that's a redo for sure.
I love it. I'm gonna say this is a beverage that draws in the nectars of the gods. This is a brilliant drink to have. I really think punch bowl full of this stuff would be a great thing to have at a party. It appeals to everybody. It's easy to drink. It's got a slight sweetness to it. It's got some spices to it, and it goes down very easy. I gotta tell you, I'm thinking the alcohol is starting to get to me in regards to the vermouth side, but
100%. I can take it.
I'm starting to feel it.
100%.
But you know what? We're gonna have to do a report and find out what happens the next day. But I'm totally enjoying this. I love it. If I was gonna give it a score out of 5, I'm gonna say it's probably gonna be about a 4.5. I'm gonna say 4.5 because I really did enjoy it. It went down easy. Gentlemen, gosh, I wish we could have asked so much more questions. There's so much that we could have just picked off your brains, but you know what? It was just an absolute pleasure to talk to you guys, and it was just so great to listen to your adventure from the beginning to now and what you're doing now. This is an opportunity for you guys to let our audience know what you're up to, how they can support you, and what's coming up in the years to come. So, gentlemen, the floor is yours.
Oh, you want to start?
No,
So nfcomiccon.com obviously is the website. James and I run a number of different consumer shows, whether it be Fragrant in the Falls, Hamilton Comic Con, Niagara Falls Comic Con. We even started a cannabis show about a year and a half ago that was very well received over at Scotiabank Convention Center. We've done the Niagara Falls Beer Festival in the past and had Big Rec headlining that show. We've done autograph appearances with sports legends, Guy Lafleur, Doug Gilmore. We really covered the gamut of consumer shows. So keep an eye out on the Niagara Falls Comic Con page, but as we continue to work through 2021, obviously the private signings and the auctions are something that we're definitely focusing on, but you never know. You never know what we might be working on next. We definitely want to have Niagara Falls Beer Festival again. We'd love to have the Alconauts maybe introduce the big band that day or do your podcast live from that event. But yeah, we're always keeping busy, staying healthy and spending a lot of time with our families, and that's the most important thing. But yeah, we continue to keep busy. So nfcomiccon.com for all things Comic-Con, and we're usually pretty good at letting people know of new things that we launch as well. But I'll let James chime in as well.
Yeah, like Chris mentioned, just keep an eye on our social media. We're always updating different venues we're trying to go into. As you mentioned, Fragrant in the Falls kind of, we brought that up, and Hamilton Comic Con, they all kind of offshot after Niagara Falls Comic Con had started. So we, private signings, auctions, all kinds of things. We have a Niagara Falls Comic Con store. You go to nfcomiccon.com or Niagara Falls Comic Con store.com. There's a whole bunch of cool items we collected over the years that are for sale there. We're always trying to just, keep busy and have fun. We know that, again, we're fans too, so when we think of something cool, we want to bring it to people because it's an opportunity for everyone to benefit. And, at the end of the day, we're hoping that, 2022 is prosperous for everyone. And for now, we're going to keep pivoting, like we mentioned, and hopefully bringing some really cool, fresh ideas to fans of our show to kind of, still get some light and Comic-Con interaction. Kind of that pop culture aspect of their lives, if we can fill even a portion of it, that's our goal at the end of the day.
James, Chris, we want to thank you guys for being on our show. This has been absolutely fantastic. It's I'm geeking out right here just talking to you guys. I can feel the vibes. It's so exciting, so exhilarating. I just can't wait to be in that physical atmosphere. So we want to thank you guys once again. With that being said, I am Paul.
I'm Ray.
And this is Chris and James from the Niagara Falls Comic Con.
And we are the Alconauts. Cheers all.
Take care.